Greetings and thank you for joining us for the AACUC Commitment to Change Credit Unions Unite Against Racism Friday Conversation. Conversations with AACUC chapters Envisioning 2024. Please note the housekeeping rules for this afternoon's event. We know that life happens, you may need to step away, take a call, or even have a conversation. We ask that you immediately please mute the volume on your microphone and/or devices, as well as stop your video. Please note these functions can be found at the bottom of your screen or your devices. You are important to us. Please do not forget to start your video upon return, as we are truly connected. And remember, unless you are called upon as a program participant, please keep your volume muted on your microphone and/or devices. We encourage you to engage with us throughout the afternoon with the virtual clap and chat. If you have any questions, send them in chat or raise your virtual hand. Now, without further ado, please help me welcome AACUC's very own President and CEO, Renee Sattywhite.
Wow. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad to see you. Some of you are just suffering with the cold and the ice and had to stay home. Well, what a great way to get picked up this afternoon with our chapter officers, our fearless leaders who are on the ground, grassroots, making it happen for AACUC. And with that, I'm not going to waste any time. I want to make sure that we get into it real good. So I'm going to start by talking to having the panelists introduce themselves, and I'm going to introduce them as I see them. So Byron, how about telling everybody who you are, what you do, where you're from?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Byron Law, and I'm the Director of Lending Operations for DC Federal Credit Union.
Okay, very good. Appreciate that. Carolyn, where you at, girl?
I'm in Big Old Texas. Carolyn Jordan from Neighborhood Credit Union here in Dallas, Texas, and it's sunny right now. I'm the Chief Growth Officer, and so I do a little bit of everything here at the credit union.
All right, thank you so much. Jamie Keith.
Hi, my name is Jamie Keith, and I work for the North Carolina State Employees Credit Union based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. I am the Member Services Support Manager, and I've been with the credit union for about 18 years now.
Okay, wow, great, thank you. Thank you so much. Eric, where are you from?
Hello, everybody. My name is Eric Gibbs. I'm with the Chicago Post Office Employees Credit Union. Currently, I'm the VP of Lending for them. And it's about 10 degrees in Chicago right now. So if my screen freezes, you know exactly why.
Okay, all righty. And hailing from sunny California is Ashley.
Good morning, everyone. I am Ashley Franklin. I serve at Schools First Federal Credit Union as the Vice President of Branch Operations.
Wow. Okay, we're going to get started. So the panelists have seen their questions. There won't be any throw ball curve questions. There might be a little commentary from me because you know how I do it sometimes. But for the most part, I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. But we want you to know what our chapter officers are like. We want you to know what they have in mind for the future for their respective chapters. But most importantly, just to know about what they do at AACC and how the chapters really work together. So first question. How did you hear about AACC, and why did you join AACC? And Byron, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. Well, I learned about AACUC from a board member at my credit union. She was retiring and invited me to a Eastern Regional Chapter meeting and said, this is an organization you should get to know about. Went to that first meeting, met some wonderful individuals, and then I was invited to my first conference that was in Baltimore. So I'm from Washington, D.C., not a bad commute. So I went on and drove up the Beltway and had my first time. Most people know me. I'm kind of laid back, play the background. And that was the first time I actually went to and met individuals of $1 billion credit union. And I met the Hall of Famer, Bert Hash. He took me under his wing, introduced me to everyone, and I just felt at home.
Bert J. Hatch Jr., baby.
Oh, Bert J. Hatch Jr.
All right. Carolyn, what about you? How did you hear about AACC, and why did you join us?
So I heard about AACUC from one of the originals, Mr. Michael Hale. This was back probably in '99. I was in the lobby of the hotel at GAC back when we had it at the Hilton. And we struck up a conversation, and he started telling me that there was an organization that was created just for us, for folks of color, African Americans, and to kind of help us advance in the movement. And I was intrigued, and I will tell you that there was two things that I remember being impressed about. The first one was meeting Michael Hale, an African American credit union CEO at that time. There wasn't one in Dallas, Texas. There may have been one in Texas, but there wasn't one in Dallas. So I was really impressed with him. And then just to know that an organization had been created to help, folks like me, people that look like me, to advance in the movement and make an impact. Michael made the rounds that particular GAC because he also reached out to my director. And we were both excited about it. And we came back to Dallas, Texas, talked with the board, and we were in. We were definitely in.
That's awesome. Awesome. Now, isn't Bert Beal out of Telco in Dallas?
Yes, it's America's Credit Union now that he's at.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, look, next time you see him, tell him I'm looking for him. All
I
right.
will.
Okay. Okay. Jamie, what about you?
I had a somewhat of maybe a unique introduction to AACUC. So I think it was the year 2017 AACUC conference was in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the funny thing is the location, the venue that you guys had chose was literally a half a mile from my office. But I had no clue of what AACUC was, hadn't heard about it at all. So a friend of mine by the name of Brandon Green, shout out to Brandon, he was working with local government federal credit union at the time. And he sent me an email and said, hey, have you heard of AACUC before? No, there's a conference this week, and it's right up the street. So I was like, well, don't know if I can really attend, but I'm gonna come. I'll come. So he invited me. I went. That's where I met the engine of AACUC, Miss Renee. And once you meet Renee, you don't escape. you're a lifer at that point. So AACUC immediately treated me as family, and it's been that way ever since. Don't look to go anywhere.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. You made me sound like an assassin. Eric.
Hey, so I would say in about 2016, one of my credit union board members at the time, Irvin Gardner, he had just come back from GAC in Washington, D.C., and he said that he met someone at a Black professional credit union organization and that he was invited to go to their annual meeting in Seattle, Washington. Well, naturally, he had the time of his life. He came back and reported to the board and the staff that this was the greatest organization that he's seen and that we should all join. So our staff, our board immediately signed up right away. And we've been normal contributors to AACUC and going to every event ever since then.
Something funny about Irving, who was our AACC playwright. He did a play with us in 2018. That was really funny. But Latanya and I met Irving at the GAC, and Shirley Jenkins was sitting there, and they hit it off so well because they were both board members, and they hit it off really, really well. And so he was really determined. And Tim Anderson was the chair at the time, and we had to give a chairman's special so that everybody Irving wanted to be a member. And Irvin kind of, as long as he was on that board, he pulled my ear about getting that same discount every year for all those members. So thank you for your service, Eric. We appreciate it. Absolutely appreciate it. Miss Ashley, what happened?
Hi. So I heard about the AACUC in 2018 from the illustrious Kevin Martin, who serves at Schools First as the EVP of Strategic Integration and Member Experience. He has a very long title. But he invited me to the annual conference in Atlanta, and I had no idea what to expect. I traveled with some of the leaders from my credit union and kind of tried to stay in a little bubble. But if you've ever been to a conference, that's just not going to happen. You have to get involved, especially if Miss Renee knows your name. So I knew at that moment this was an organization I wanted to be a part of. And I came back and said, Kevin, what do I need to do to be a member? And he said, it's done. And I'm like, that's it. He's like, that's it, it's done. And I haven't looked back since.
Wow, great. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next question, guys. Not everybody has to answer. If you want to, great. If you don't, let me know. What does it mean to be a chapter officer? I'm going to throw it out for one of you guys to jump in first. What does it mean to be a chapter officer?
Well, I think for me, because I'm probably one of the newest ones, it is a significant responsibility. But for me, it's that opportunity to collaborate with all the other officers to really learn more about AACUC and get involved, to advocate for the interests of the members here in the region, because Texas, we're the newest chapter, and to really foster that sense of community. But most of all, working together in alignment with AACUC for the broader mission and really, really making a difference here. I've always thought that we needed more active involvement with AACUC in Texas, and being an officer means that I can drive that forward and be able to do that. So I'm happy to have the opportunity.
Okay, okay. Anybody have anything to add to that? Any chapter officers want to add to that? One of the things that we do and I'll come back to you, Eric. One of the things that we do with the chapter officers that I'm really pleased about in our growth of AACUC, in order to make sure that our board of directors are equally represented, when we do the nominating committee, each chapter is represented, and the chapter officers are the ones that are the nominating committee. And so we have 2 chapter officers that I'm aware of that have gone from being a chapter officer to board director. Southern Regional Chapter, Priscilla Ockard, and Texas Chapter, Delana Hewling. And so this is a great way to acclimate yourself to become part of AACC's board of directors. And if I get my way, everybody will have to go through our board ready training program, because we're a 501c3 and we train 501c3. And we want to make sure that everybody understands how to govern properly. So a little commercial so that Don, you won't get mad at me about doing what I need to do. All righty. So Eric, you have something to add?
Yeah, I had like 3 quick points here. I think it's a prestigious position. You directly affect all of the initiatives of AACUC from a local level. You get to meet and network with folks that you may not normally have done so without being in the position. I guess the second point, you have a role in AACUC's annual meeting and a platform. So, it's very respected as far as being a chapter officer. And third, you have total access to the AACUC board members, employees, and Miss Renee Sadiway, who will absolutely drop everything that she's doing if you have any concerns with AACUC or whatever questions you may have. She's very helpful and gives great insight.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. Our next question, this is my favorite question. Well, one of my favorite questions. How has being a chapter officer helped you in your personal and professional development? Really interested to know about that. And I'm just going to call on everybody. I'm going to start back around I'm going to go the opposite way. Ashley, I'll start with you.
Thank you. The murder of George Floyd was a watershed moment for America, but for Black folk, it was something different. There was a void, and it was almost indescribable, because you had so many feelings and emotions. You felt broken, you were angry, scared, but most yet ironically, you felt alone. It was like when Celie and Nettie were leaving each other, when they were getting separated, and we all kind of knew, but you couldn't say. And you just wanted a place to just be, and insert AACUC. Talk about leading through adversity. This organization stood up and it said, I got this and I got y'all. And we all came together. It didn't matter the color, the title, the status. It didn't matter. We all came together and we got to work. And those precious moments of analyzing what just happened here, it got us through. And I'm certain I speak for everybody when I say that I'm grateful. Well, on top of that, personal growth and development, there are opportunities to learn as a professional through mentorship programs, cross-cultural exchange programs of which I am a part, DEI certification, emerging leaders of which I participated, and the list goes on and on and on and on. The connections, the networking, the people, all ages, races, locations. It's just phenomenal. And personally, I have benefited greatly from this organization. So thank you, Ms. Renee.
Thank you, Ashley. Wow. We're going backwards. So Eric, your turn.
Yeah, so I would say my first conference was 2017 in Raleigh. So I did see the void that there was not a Midwest chapter with AACUC. So as far as my growth professionally, it sort of prompted me to be a self-starter and interact with members of AACUC, and also just gave me just a broad sense of, okay, this is a great organization. You have a chance to have your mark in the organization, and you're surrounded by professionals. So you benefit that way. And from a local level, just my regional chapter officers, they are so awesome, so professional. And really, once you are sort of engaged with that, you're going to do the best job that you can do because you don't want to disappoint them. So, that's what I say. I think I've grown tremendously from a local level of the organization.
Great, thank you, thank you. Carolyn, how has being a chapter officer in your brief tenure helped you in your personal and professional development?
Well, and I'm still growing. I remember long years ago when I joined Barbara Stevens out of Houston, Texas. She was a retired CEO now out there. She always encouraged me to get involved in the work, get more involved. And I didn't always follow her words. But when I joined the chapter, what it's really been able to do for me in my personal development is to really, really get involved with the work, to get involved with AACUC, and to really do some of those things that Barbara Stevens suggested to me way long ago when she recruited me to get more involved after I joined. I think that, even though I've been in the movement for 40 years, I'm learning from all of the young people. I love it that, there's so many young people involved at AACUC now versus when I first got involved. And so I'm learning from all of the young people. I'm learning all of the new things. And for me, what I really want to take forward is to be able to be an influence and help all of those young people that are coming behind me, because since I've been around for a while, I'm going to retire at some point. But, I think that the development is helping me to be an influence in bringing them in, and hopefully, having that next generation be able to move forward and take the work of AACUC in the movement and do as much as we can to make it as grand as it is and can be in the future.
Thank you, Carolyn. Byron, your thoughts?
Being a chapter officer in my personal growth, it allowed me to step out my box and aspire to be something great. When I first started in the credit union movement, I was kind of like a worker bee and just wanted to get in and do your work. And then I met some wonderful mentors from the Eastern Regional Chapter that took me under their wing. And I was actually felt like a NBA player. I got drafted. They said, "Come on, guy, we see something in you, and we want you to come along." And all I can say, it's been a wonderful experience. I have lifelong relationships and mentors, and it has allowed me to aspire to even go higher. I've been a manager for a while now. I've elevated to a director, and I have my eyes looking at being a CEO one of these days.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm sorry, I got goosebumps. My goosebumps got goosebumps. I love it. Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. Okay. Well, this worked out perfectly. Jamie Keith, what about you as a chapter officer has helped you in your personal and professional development? You're on mute, Jamie.
I'm sorry about that. I would say it's definitely helped me at both. I'll say that. Professionally, I like to tell the story that, when I first met Renee, got involved with AACUC, I told Renee, look, I love it. I'm all for it. The Kool-Aid it's been drank. I'm all the way in. What do I need to do? What can I do? She laid the law. This is what you can do. This is what we can do for you. Appreciate everything. Okay, Renee, I'm in. Like, I'll do anything you need me to do. But Renee, I don't like speaking in front of people. She said, you know what? I got you. I got you, Jamie. I know just the thing for you. And since that moment, I think Renee has made it her intention to put me in front of people from that day moving forward. And I said, at first I didn't understand. I was like, well, why would she do this when I've already explained I don't like it? And it took me a while to figure it out. And and we had a conversation, a little bit later. And she said, that was my purpose for you. And from that moment forward, regardless of, how nervous I get or what it does for me internally, I think about that conversation, and it does something to you when you have someone that believes in you, trusts you, but maybe more importantly, want the best for you. And that part has transcended into my professional and my personal life, because it's given me, the extended confidence that I felt was missing. Now, I have a long way to go. I realize that. I have a long way to go. But I do believe that I'm taking the right steps. And I do think that with Renee, and all of AACUC, because kind of to Byron's point, maybe I don't feel like I'm in the NBA, but it's certainly that team aspect that is present, and it kind of holds you, and it helps mold you and to who you may want to be, or sometimes, in my case, maybe to who I needed to be. And I don't think there's nothing else like it.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. And I have to say, Jamie was like, why are you, I said, you're the chapter president. And it was so funny. He didn't want to go talk to Mike Lord, and Mike Lord is a very nice man. I'm like, talk to him. He's like, no, we don't do that in the store. I said, oh, you're the chapter president. You have to talk to him. So I remember 2 years ago when Maurice Smith retired, and the Southern Regional Chapter surprised Maurice with a retirement party. He thought it was just a regular chapter officer reception, but it was a whole thing for him. And Jamie was the host. And you would have thought Jamie was on TV. He was cracking jokes. He was walking around the room. He wasn't stiff. Like, and y'all got to know this was me. Another question. I'm just telling you, this is a bonus question. How can we get young professionals more involved? You guys are not my age. I'm 63, but you guys are coming up, and you guys are getting more mature. So how do we bring in more people, more young people? What suggestions do you have? I'm going to let you guys throw it out.
I'll jump in first. And I think, Carolyn kind of alluded to this a few minutes ago, but I think one of the most important things that we can do is to get the young folks engaged. And I say that because I feel like I'm no longer young. I remember that first meeting, we were talking about young professionals. It was under 40, or maybe it was even 38 at the time. And I was like, yeah, that's me, yeah, that's me. But, 5-6 years later, it's not the same anymore. So there's a lot that I've learned, but I think, coming from young folks, there's a lot that I don't know that I can't keep up with. I got a granddaughter, and she teaches me something about YouTube weekly. So it's evident that they're out there. They know they're taking the steps, to do the right thing and to learn new things. So I think if we put them, in a position to win, I think it not only helps us, it helps the organization as a whole, and it helps them as a young professional.
Okay. Anybody have anything to add to that?
I
yes.
agree. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry
Oh, I'm
about that,
sorry.
guy. I was
Ladies
just going
first.
to agree with Jamie that I think it's important, even at the chapter level, for us to get our members involved. Our goal this year is to expand our committees so that we can have more opportunities for our members to get involved at a chapter level, so then they will get more involved at a national level. We're going to we have a scholarship committee, and we're going to expand that, a fundraising committee, a communications committee. So just ways so that we can, again, engage our membership, especially the young professionals, so that they know this organization is for you too.
Mhm.
I love that, Ashley. And you said something about getting those young people engaged. I've had two people here in Texas reach out to me, young folks, and I'm going to get them involved in some committees. And beyond that, all of the leagues have the YP advisor committees, and we're fortunate enough to have someone on that committee. So I think maybe reaching out to those YP groups at each one of the leagues is a great way. If they're not already part of AACUC, recruit them in, get them involved, and get them in the work. And I saw this in the chat, but I think our mentorship program that we have is outstanding to get them in, get them engaged, and get them enrolled in the work. So I think that mentorship program is something that we can really use to leverage that.
Byron?
Yes, the ERC has created a membership committee, engagement committee, which helps prepare for our events. And we always invite the young professionals. Again, they always spend time with us when we go to the GAC. So as long as you have committees and engagement and people are actually available to come to our board meetings, I'm planning on inviting them so we can have a pipeline for individuals that may just become future board members, and also be able to maybe take the baton and run.
I think right now we have AJ Lothrop and Miranda Pierfax as our co-chairs for the Young Professional Program, with SB being the national person from AACUC helping to steer that. So we should do some stuff. I was at a meeting, a CEO roundtable yesterday in Atlanta, and I think I threw out a challenge to the League of Southeastern Credit Unions they're having a young professionals conference, to reach out to all the leagues to get all of the YPs involved. And I think that's something we have to do as a movement, right? It's not just AACUC, it's not just you at your credit union, it's the movement. We need to come together and bring and let the young people know we do want you here, and we listen to you, and your ideas are good. What Jamie said about the technology, if some of you who went to the conference, the young lady who sang our national anthem, I remember being with her when she was 2 years old, and she was working my phone better than I could work my phone. It was amazing. So yes, that technology is very, very important. Okay. All right. What a great segue. Speaking of our conference, what was it like to attend our annual conference? And I'm only going to take 2 or 3 of you. So whoever speaks first gets it.
Conferences, Ashley.
Everyone biting at the bit, trying to speak. So Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Oh,
Stone Mountain,
you
Georgia.
don't talk about that conference. That's a conference you're going to talk about?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was an excellent conference, and you just have to start with the location. I was very unaware of Stone Mountain, Georgia. So I got in about 12 in the morning, and the GPS is on, and our cabbie was supposed to turn left on Stonewall Jackson Drive. And I'm like, oh, and I said, you sleepy, you gotta be sleepy. It's 12 a.m. And then it said, well, you missed that, so continue straight on Robert E. Lee Road. And I'm like, oh, OMG, where am I? And I did what any respectable person would do at 12 a.m. in the morning. I broke out my phone and started Googling, where am I right now? But needless to say, for us to be there celebrating the 25th anniversary, focused on legacy in a place where African Americans at one point were not welcomed, but to be there with so many people of all different races together in this breathtaking place, to see the stone mountain itself, a remarkable piece of art, even though it has dedicated to an ugly history. It's remarkable to see that stone mountain in person, and the conference was phenomenal. If ever your road gets tough, your load gets heavy, go to an AACUC conference, and I promise you, you will have your cup filled and it will run over. The speakers, the networking, the laughter, the moments of encouragement from credit union leaders across the nation will just remind you that the credit union movement is worth it and everything that you're doing is worth it. Jamie.
Well, look, I guess I have to have everybody talk because I'm interested to hear all these comments. So we'll go ahead and go with Jamie. Thank you, Ashley.
Now, y'all would put me behind that, right?
Right?
Conferences is phenomenal. There's nothing in my lifetime. There's nothing that compares to AACUC conferences. From the moment I was introduced to the conference back in 2017, up until Stone Mountain, Georgia, each conference has been unique and steadily, in my opinion, steadily improving. And if I could relate it to anything, is a combination between your family reunion and my experience at an HBCU. Combine those two, and then add a sprinkle, or maybe a lot of sprinkle of professionals that could care less about what your title is, what their title is. All they care about is you as an individual. All they care about is building AACUC as a whole and continuing to push the needle forward. That's all they care about. And during my time, at these conferences, it seems every year you meet somebody new, you connect with somebody new that wants to help in any way, any shape, any form or fashion that they can help in. And I don't think you get that anywhere else, to be totally honest. I don't think you get that anywhere else. The engagement, the coaching, the network of professionals in the same room, you can't buy it. You can't buy it. It's not there. So phenomenal. Great job, AACUC.
Okay, Jamie. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, I'll piggyback off that from Jamie. Definitely family reunion vibe, backyard barbecue, seeing old friends and family. As soon as you go into the lobby at one of these conferences, you can just sort of feel the love in the air, and everybody's just so glad to see each other. And then when we're getting down to business, like this last one in Stone Mountain, Georgia, they had a small credit union session, which was very impactful. I got a lot out of that, and I think everyone else did as well. There was a AACUC museum, which was dynamic. You can just see the growth of the organization from start till now. And there's always something at one of these conferences that is like, wow, I think I'm going to cry. And I think it was when the young lady sang the Black National Anthem. I said, I'm about to lose it right now. So, it's just so impressive. We're so impressive as an organization and as people. And I will attend these things as long as I can.
I think Sheila's been, I don't know which one has been, she's been the more than Bert, but probably only by 2. It's pretty amazing. What about you, Byron?
Well, I will also piggyback off of what everyone mentioned. One of the things that really stuck out to me is all of the speakers, very informative, and also, the 25 years and the fact that When you walk through the museum, as Eric had mentioned, you can see where we start and where we are now. And we still have a lot to go, but this is one of the greatest organizations I've ever been a part of. The family reunion vibe feels like going back to homecoming. Shout out to Bowie State University. So we hang out. It's good to see everybody, the brotherhood, the sisterhood, the family, and it's always encouragement. I've always been encouraged, and the relationships will last forever, and I will continue to go as long as I'm able to.
Now, Eric, Brian, you work one of my favorite people, Letitia Wheeler, who and Jamie, I don't know how we're gonna get Kelly to be back part of the fold because we can't lose her. So we need to figure out what that looks like. Thank goodness, because she's now in Texas, and Texas succeeded the Southern region. So I don't know what you're gonna do. But Letitia,
we're working on it. We're working on it.
Okay. Well, Letitia, maybe she can split her duties, right?
Right.
Letitia and Kelly handle our financial reality fair, which was created out of DE project with Janet McDonald Marshall and Sheila Montgomery. And for us to still continue that's phenomenal. So thank you for your contribution, Byron. What about you, Carolyn?
Well, everybody has done such a great job of talking about how awesome this conference is, but I will use the words of one of my colleagues here in Texas. She said, when she came, she said, it is absolutely the best conference I have ever attended. I've never attended anything like this. And I totally agree. But just a few things I think that beyond what everyone else shared, when you walked in the lobby, Miss Renee had this beautiful Black art all throughout the lobby. Every time you came through the lobby, beautiful Black art. And I thought, my gosh, my gosh. And then I think we auctioned it off, if I remember correctly, at the end. But just beautiful. Where else? What other conference will you see that? Karaoke night. Have you ever gone to a conference and had karaoke night at the conference, not outside the conference, but at the conference? And Ashley, your colleague, Late Night with Kevin. I had never attended that. And I thought, this guy is awesome. And last but certainly not least, the conference ending party. I did remember that. It had been a while since I'd gone to a conference, but I remember that party. And what a party we had. I was just so, I was so inspired. I was so filled, as Ashley has pointed out. And what meant so much to me was that even though the conference has grown very, very much since the early days, as someone else mentioned, you still have with that sense of family and friends, even with all of the folks that we have coming now and how big we've gotten, it's still, family and friends like a reunion. So it's the best conference that I've ever attended, that anyone will ever attend. And I know it's going to stay like that. So thank you, AACUC, for all you do to put on these great conferences. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Okay, staff. They're challenging you because I have gotten out of the conference business. It's my staff doing it now, and they do a great job. I'm excited about that. I said I was not going to give you any questions that you didn't already have. However, something has just come up in my spirit. Because you guys talked about Kevin Martin, and Kevin Martin did something for us in 2018, and he sent a memo to the board. And if you know Kevin Martin, you know that he will challenge you, but in a really good way. And I often say this about Kevin. He used to scare me because if you don't have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, he has a look on his face that he gives you, and it's worse than my look. And so I don't like that look. So I have to make sure that I'm together. But anyway, in talking about Kevin, I thought about the memo he sent to the board of directors, which was imagine a future for AACUC 2030. And I can promise you the things that he put in that memo, we have already accomplished. So my question to all of you is, where do you see AACUC in 10 years? And I'm going to start with Byron. Where do you see AACUC in 10 years? If you had a magic wand, what would it look like?
Well, I already see us being the greatest conference ever given. I do believe we'll be all inclusive. Will be a learning process for other conferences. And again, I think we will be the stepping stone for all other conferences. This is the greatest organization I've been a part of, and everyone will have to follow our lead to even catch up to us.
All right now. Okay. Carolyn, what about you? What do you see in 10 years for AACC?
Well, I remember hearing a comment that, AACUC was DEI before there was a DEI.
That was Sheila
What-
Montgomery.
Sheila, well, another one of the originals. What I see 10 years down the way is AACUC being the premier organization, definitely for diversity, equity, and inclusion, but the premier organization in the credit union movement. We're so diverse. We have so many people joining us. It's going to be the organization in the credit union movement.
Oh, okay. I hope some of my board of directors are on the line. Okay. All right now.
I saw one.
Eric, what about you? What are your thoughts?
I would say just accomplishing the goals. DEI, just really the finish line, just sort of say, okay, well, it worked, Now this turnover of C-suite executives in these credit unions and some of the spaces we're in just sort of looks like the makeup of us. So I would say that would be the goal and what I would want to see in the next 10 years.
Okay, very good. What about you, Ashley?
I agree. I see the AACUC as the leader of DEI initiatives. It will continue to bring diverse credit union leaders together and challenge the movement. I see the AACUC self-sufficient with more than enough to cover all of the needs and to continue to grow, have more employees, and to bring these great credit union leaders together. And I see Miss Renee sitting back, smiling, saying, look at what I have accomplished and look at what I have done, and just being proud of from whence she's come. And that's what I see for you and for this organization.
Mike Mercer usually attends these commitment to change conversations. I don't know if he's on the call or not today because I don't have my glasses, so I can't read. But I'm gonna say this: Mike used to tell me all the time, "We got to get you out of your living room." So thank you for that, Ashley. And Mike did that. He got me out of That wasn't my living room, Mike. It was my den. Alrighty, Jamie. Thank you, Ashley. Jamie.
I see exactly what everybody else has mentioned. I see AACUC being the breeding ground for producing credit union professionals at a very high level, not just focusing on DEI, but also in other professional developmental areas. I see AACUC being called upon by many credit unions, thousands of credit unions across the nation. What can you help me with? What can you do for me? I feel like AACUC can do anything and can accomplish anything. So I feel like we will have to filter that to some degree, unless we can continue to grow. And I think we will. I think AACUC will become one of the largest organizations nationwide and will produce hundreds of thousands of credit union professionals in the industry. Nothing but great things.
All right, now that's what I'm talking about. Positive energy. I have a question for you guys. This one just came up in my spirit. How do you feel? And not everybody has to answer. If you want to, that's great. How do you feel knowing that there are 13 unicorns? What are those? Those are African American men and women who are leading billion-dollar credit unions. There are 13 that we can put our hands on. How do you feel about that? Carolyn?
Awesome. And I didn't know it was 13, Renee, if I would have had to have guessed, maybe 5. Having been in the movement as long as I have, it almost makes me want to get that tissue out. That is awesome. And I can't believe that that would have happened if we didn't have AACUC. I really, really feel like that AACUC is pivotal in that because, before that time, I think I mentioned to you guys, in 1999 is when I met Michael Hale. Well, I had been in the movement for 20 years, and you just did not see folks of color heading credit unions. And if they did, they were smaller credit unions. So to know that we've got 13 and billion-dollar credit unions, thinking about people like Beverly Anderson, it's huge. And it's because of AACUC and the influence that AACUC has had on the movement and the industry. And Miss Renee, who's been there the entire time. I still remember Sadie White Training Productions. So it's AACUC. But yeah, I'm speechless. 13.
Wow. Okay. Eric, what about you? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I would love to see more. So I guess like some have mentioned before, let this be the breeding ground and the training facility to sort of work our way into that space. But I would definitely love to see more opportunity and folks capitalizing when an opportunity presents itself.
I have a challenge to the people who are listening that if you know of colleagues, and we I tease about this all the time. The word African American Credit Union Coalition sounds like we're such an exclusive group. We're not an exclusive group. We're the most inclusive organization probably in the credit union industry. However, we look like the credit union industry, and so we're not all African Americans at all throughout our membership. But what would be interesting is if you feel value, that AACC can bring you value, perhaps you can share some information. We have a plethora of videos that are available to look at some of our conference content and those things, information about our programs. We do, and I'm a little biased, but we do a really good job with our programming, making sure that we're meeting the needs of credit union professionals, because we do want you to be better. We do want you to be the best that you can be. And so I'm excited about that. Byron, you aspiring to be a CEO, how do you feel about knowing that there's 13 African Americans running billion-dollar organizations?
Well, I think it's amazing. I wish that number was larger. And I see that we do have the organization that can increase that number because again, I don't believe any that would happen without the hard work of the AACUC. It's just amazing. And again, I can see that that number will grow and will just be the star point or the benchmark of the credit union movement.
Thank you. Ashley, anything to add?
I think they said it all. There's an African proverb that says the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And this is a tremendous step to know that number. I like Carolyn, even now didn't know any African American CEOs until I met my first, Gary Perez, and I was like, oh my goodness, what? I was so shocked. But I was, naive and new to the credit union movement at the time. And so I'm proud and know that we are starting this journey in there, and we're going to grow. It's going to get bigger.
I remember the first African American to run a billion-dollar organization. That was William Bill Porter. He passed away in August. Was a very dear friend, just a lovely human being, and really, for me personally, was a mentor. But was extremely instrumental in making sure that AACUC had a guiding light, if you will. He had talked about in 2006 when he received the Peak Career Lifetime Achievement Award. He had talked about another organization, a bankers organization, Urban Bankers, that didn't make it, and he cautioned AACUC in how we were making sure that we run in a unique way, but making sure that we cross every T and dot every I. And the place, some of the stuff that happens when you're in the African American community. what I love about AACUC and what I love about our conferences specifically is, people think, oh, they're ruly. There's, Black people can't get together without having a fight, something like that. That doesn't happen at AACUC. We have decorum, not church lady decorum, but we have decorum, but we like to have fun too. And so just knowing that over $450 billion credit unions and having 13 African Americans who are leading those credit unions is really huge for me. I wanted to give a shout out. I am one who will call out stuff because that's my job. I think as AACC, making sure that we're giving what the opinion could be and how can we look at things in a certain way that empowers everybody. But I want to give a shout out to America's credit unions. CUNA and NAFCU have come together, and they didn't have any person who looked like me on the board of directors, and I felt some kind of way about that. Well, I'm happy to announce that Day Matthews is now on the board of directors for America's Credit Unions, and I think that that is a really strong, significant statement to the industry, and I'm really pleased about that. The credit union leagues have a conference, and at that conference they had DEI Tuesday. I was thrilled to be a part of that. And so it just sends a strong message that yes, we get it. Renee, we're here. We want to do this together. And so I'm encouraged by our system partners who really want the best for everyone. And I think that in this day and time, it's important that we remember not that we're African Americans first, but that we're credit union professionals first. That's what we want to be. We want to make sure that where we're working, that our members are taken care of. And so that should be the impetus. That should be the focus. And so I just wanted to share that because I think that that was quite important that these things have happened over the last couple of weeks. I have a fire round. This is a rapid fire questions for each panelist. So I'll call out the panelists, but here's the question. Why is your region the best? Byron, I'll start with you.
Well, I believe all of the regions are wonderful and magnificent, but the reason why is because we are the first. We are the original. We produced a lot of Hall of Famers that left the ERC board, went to the national board, into the Hall of Fame. And I mean, you can't say more than that.
Okay, all right. Carolyn, why is your region the region that Texas was supposed to be southern part of the southern region? They said no. We have 450 credit unions. We want to be our own chapter. and I hear Louisiana's trying to do that too, Anthony. I saw you come in.
Well, you said it, Miss Renee. Because we do it big in Texas, that's why we're the best. But I will say, to what Byron said, I do think that all the chapters have their unique strengths. But with over 450 credit unions being the newbie chapter, I think there's huge opportunity for us, and we're going to jump on it. So we do it big.
All right. Okay. All righty. Jamie, what about you?
I agree with Carolyn and Byron. Every chapter is great. Every chapter is amazing. I would say Southern Regional is the best for two different reasons. I think our board is a cut above the rest. Respectfully. I think we're a cut above the rest. Nah, just kidding. I'd say we're the only chapter that produced that birthed another chapter. How about that? I'll take that.
Okay.
Texas originated from the southern region. So we helped birth Texas. We're going to take credit for that. So
There you go.
for that reason, I think we're the best.
I am
outstanding job. Every other chapter for sure. No doubt about it.
The Southern Regional Chapter, when they were first formed, led by Priscilla Ockard, Grace Thompson, Emma Hayes, oh my gosh, the young man at local government, he has the twins. I can see him. Marcus Craig. Marcus, yes. All of you. The Southern Regional Chapter asked more questions than Kevin Martin, Ashley. And Kevin Martin Oh my goodness. Thank God I had the Southern Regional chapter so I could get to Kevin Martin. But my goodness, they really it was great. It was a great experience for me as leading AACUC, but also with the board because they were really Southern Regional chapter really pushed. What I love about AACUC is that we can do that. We can push respectively, respectfully, and we had our strategic planning session with the board of directors in November, and I remember them pushing me, and I kind of got a little upset. You know, they were flexing and on me, and I'm like, And then I thought about it, and I had to remind myself. I said, I apologize. I said, you know what? I'm not used to listening to suggestions and knowing that I have staff to execute. The way I was hearing everything was I was going to have to do it myself. And I'm like, I can't do all that work. But having staff now is a wonderful thing. And so just knowing that you can have conversations and be respectful is a good thing. So, okay, the rapid fire questions are over. Is there any last thoughts that you have that you want to share with anyone before we close out? Anybody? Anything that we didn't say that you think we should have said? Or something that I should have asked you wish I had have asked, or something that came up in your spirit that you wanted everybody to know?
Well, we will say that the Midwest chapter is the best chapter. I don't want us to get away from that.
And why is that? Why is that, Eric? Why is that, Eric?
Well, just the mere makeup of Midwestern people just are great. So if you put us all together in one group, naturally we're going to be the best.
Okay.
And I would be remiss if I did not bring to everyone's attention the obvious that West rhymes with best.
Oh, Lord.
Go, girl.
Oh,
I just had to add it. I mean, Eric did. I just had to say it. And all of our chapters are phenomenal, and all of us are committed to ensuring that the credit union movement stays strong and the African American participation in the credit union movement is across the nation. So I am delighted to serve with these leaders. I'm delighted to serve for you, Ms. Renee. And this was a fantastic conversation today. And I hope that all of our viewers and listeners today felt that this was beneficial, meaningful, and inspirational.
Thank you for that, Ashley. Thank you so much. I don't know that we could have a better close than that, Ashley. So thank you. What I will say is I'm the possibility of people serving other people passionately, and clearly these people are too. So thank you for being on this journey with me. With all of that, I'm going to turn it over to SB to close us out. Everyone have a great weekend.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Renee. Panelists, Miss Renee as our moderator. Thank you so much. For all of you that joined us today, don't forget, stay in touch with your chapters. If you are not a member, there are some chats or links in the chat where you can join us and be a member and join these amazing chapters and this wonderful organization that we belong to. With that, I'm just going to do one last little plug-in. Save the date for our next CTC Friday Conversation, which is on February 16th. And this one is honoring our Hall of Fame honorees. So we definitely don't want you to miss that. I put that link in the chat for you to register today. With that, have a happy Friday. Stay warm, stay safe, and we'll see you next month. My panelists. There you go, Ms. Renee. Panelists, board members, and staff, please stay on.